Igniting, inspiring, and evoking the fire within.
But for one glorious minute, I was able to go play trains and people throw money at me, or they would give me business cards, or they would invite me to, record projects with them. And it was a very warm, intriguing introduction to New York and like the musical underground. Just want a holiday in the town.
You're listening to the What's Your Inspiration podcast with Foxfire.
Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the What's Your Inspiration podcast. Today, a friend for a couple of years now, a colleague, cohort of my brother Billy over at Fitness Together in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. He is a fitness enthusiast, personal trainer, nutrition coach, and student of life. He is Mr. Nick Alley. Nick, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Fox. How are you, my friend?
Better than I certainly deserve at this point in my life. So yes. Listen, Nick, we all knew that you were born some time ago, but you have this last name A-L-I.
That's
and
right.
There's a man who's dearly departed as of a couple of years ago, Muhammad Ali. How many times, let's say, per week, do people mispronounce your name? Your last name, I should say.
So I would say that every single time somebody sees my last name and calls me Mr. Ali, it's always Ali, never Ali. I think I could count on one hand how many times somebody's actually pronounced my name correctly without me having to correct them. So I've just, it is what it is at this point. I'm used to it, especially growing up in school. Teachers would always say, actually it's funny, so, I'm sure that when you get your class list, and you can answer this being a teacher, right? I'm sure it's last name first and then first name, right? Last name, comma, first name. So I would actually be called a lot of times Ali Nicholas. They would think that my first name is Ali and my last name is Nicholas. So I'm like, no, it's Nicholas Alley. Like, you should see that. You should know that by now, going through this a million times, right?
Yes.
But yeah, so it's always a common mistake, but I've learned to just roll with it. It is what it is.
I guess you kind of have to. Now, going back to what you said previously, you can count on one hand how many times someone has said it correctly the first time. When was the last time that happened?
Actually, it was a couple weeks ago, to be honest with you. I was on a call with somebody. I think I was getting insurance quotes or something, and they actually called me Mr. Ali. I said, "Wow, all right, I'm gonna do business with you because you said my name correctly."
You were in the win column right away.
Exactly.
Right away. It was an insurance salesman. That's pretty interesting. I'm guilty, people. I am guilty of calling him the former Muhammad Ali last week, and it wasn't until last week that I knew it was Ali. So I humbly apologize for my transgressions.
It's quite all right. All is forgiven.
All is forgiven. So it's Nick Ali here on episode 43 of the What's Your Inspiration podcast. Now, you are not first and foremost, but one of the things you are is a fitness enthusiast. And you and your wife had a child in October?
November.
November
17th.
November the 17th. So as a fitness enthusiast, how have you had to adjust your training and nutrition?
Oh, man,
if at all?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. So leading up to the birth of my daughter, all throughout my wife's pregnancy, I had told myself, okay, I'm going to stick to my plan. I'm going to continue to eat right. I'm going to continue to exercise as normally as I do. I know going into this that sleep is going to be an issue, but I'm just going to pull myself together and just, do what I need to do. And that was not the case at all. So, yeah, the sleep was definitely tough. I had a lot of clients telling me, you look like a zombie. Are you okay? Maybe you should try to take a nap. I'm like, yeah, I'll be all right. But it was very easy to kind of fall off the wagon and not work out as frequently as I should. And, there were definitely quite a few times throughout the week where my wife would be like, let's just order a pizza. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like dishes. And I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. In the past, I'd be like, no, let's stick to our normal plan. But kids definitely throw you for a loop, and, you learn to just roll with the punches sometimes. And, there's an old adage that's pretty funny to me. It says, when man plans, God laughs. And it's very true because, first of all, this pregnancy was, it was a surprise. We're very blessed and, very grateful for everything. But, the whole just approach on life has completely changed, and it's just, I'm very much like to be in control of things. And now, being a parent, I'm just like, okay, I'm in control of absolutely nothing in my life anymore, so I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
It's like the old Rocky movie. There are three of them out there. What do I do? Just try to hit the one in the middle.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that. From you talking, I love what you said. When man plans, God laughs. I don't think I've ever heard that before, but if I can have permission again, I'd like to use that at some point in the next couple of days.
Feel free. I wish I could take credit for it. I can't. I don't know who said it first.
Yeah, a lot of life is like that. What are you going to do when the unexpected sort of happens? So let's continue with this. Speak to this, referencing life, nutrition, fitness. Peak performance isn't about focusing; it's about refocusing. First of all, do you agree with that? And then run with it a little bit for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Just from personal experience, my own training and nutrition has evolved as I have evolved throughout the years, So, I even look at the way I train my clients, and going back to when I first started to, what I do now is completely different. And as a matter of fact, I was just going through some client files not that long ago, and I was looking at some training logs from people, and I was looking at the programs that I designed, and I'm looking at this like, wow, this is shit. What was I thinking? Like, I would never do that now. But you learn as you go, and you also, I feel as though certain priorities tend to shift. We also just being a constant student and just constantly learning and dealing with people, you learn how to make adjustments, whereas in the past I would be a little bit more rigid, like, this is what I had planned, so this is what we're going to do. Whereas now I'm much more open to be like, okay, well, let's try to figure out what's really going on here, and let's see how we can resolve this issue, as opposed to just try to push through it or just try to put a Band-Aid on it. But yeah, and then diet too. Like I was saying before, everything went to hell when the baby was born. We were ordering pizza a couple nights a week.
You're talking about your fitness now, as far as it going to hell. I don't think your life didn't. Let's just be clear. Your life didn't go to hell. I think your fitness may have taken a little bit of a dive.
Exactly.
So if anybody picks the podcast up at this point, this is what we're talking about.
Yes, very true. Thank you for reiterating that.
Yes, Gabby. Sorry.
But so you have to be flexible. It's like. There's another famous quote where I think it might have been Bruce Lee, where he says, the stiffest trees will always break, whereas the ones that flow with the wind will forever stand, or something along those lines. And it's so true, you have to be willing to just make adjustments, and even like with working out, for example, some days you just don't have it, like you go to the gym and you're like, you know what, I'm really not feeling it today. My back's bothering me. My neck is stiff. So, rather than trying to, deadlift 400 pounds, let's just do our warm up, let's just go through the motions and let's see what feels good. And maybe we do a little bit more than we thought we'd be able to, and maybe we don't, but that's okay, and that's really what I'm learning up until this point in my life, is just the fact that you have to be flexible and be able to just roll with the punches and just readjust constantly, it's like, I was reading somewhere where it was like, if you make a 2 degree or even a 1 degree shift in a change of direction, right now it doesn't seem like a big deal, but as you continue down that path, the end result is going to be completely different than that 2 degree shift prior to that. So I think that is huge, and it's something to keep in mind. We make these small little incremental changes, and they lead up to big results.
Yeah, so the long game, right?
Exactly.
Thinking the long game in terms of, like you said before, you're working out in your back spot, aren't you? If you try to be a hero in that moment, then the long game is you're going to be on the shelf for a while.
Absolutely.
But if you take a step back and say, hey, I'm going to lose the battle to win the war, long term, you might yield more result. You're going to yield more results down the road because you didn't try to be a hero in that moment. So it makes sense. A lot of what I hear from you is a growth mindset and a student of life for darn sure for you. You're constantly trying to learn. I think fitness inherently, as you get older and your body changes, your diet's going to change. Mm-hmm. Your workout is going to change. Obviously, with a child, your sleep patterns are going to change, and each change that you make, whether it's in your workout, your diet, or your sleep, is going to affect the others.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I feel. I know, and you're a great example of this is why you need to have a growth mindset in life and be a student of life, because things aren't going to be the same all the time.
Right.
Just
absolutely.
Not.
Absolutely.
They're just not.
And I am happy to say that I definitely am more back on track now. Like, that was where I was the first couple months. My daughter had a lot of gas issues, and she was up every 2 hours. It was rough, but we managed to get through it. And now that I feel like I have a little bit more normalcy in my life, I'm back to exercising the way that I used to, and eating definitely much cleaner than where we were 2 months ago. So it feels good. It feels good to be back in this good place. Because your diet plays such a major role on everything, including your mindset. If it's so easy to go to that comfort food, let's have some pizza or cheeseburger or ice cream, whatever, and you get that temporary satisfaction, but you feel the guilt and the shame afterwards, right? And we've all been there before. And when but when you're eating clean, though, you have so much more energy, you're so much more focused, you feel so much better. You are what you eat. It's so true, and I just try to, wherever I go, tell that to people and help them to realize that, because, when you're feeling stressed out, don't give in to temptation, stay on the path, and you'll feel so much better, you'll perform better, and you'll just be better in every way.
Amen. Like my dad says, don't make a bad situation worse.
Exactly.
And boy, diet does really do that. Going for that comfort food. I am the poster boy for that at times. But I digress. It's about you. It's not about me. We've covered a lot. In a very short period of time. We're going to go into a game called What, Which, and Where. Nick, if you haven't listened to the podcast, I understand you're a busy man. This game, I'm going to give you maybe a quote from a book, a movie, or somebody that you may know of very, very well, and I want you to tell me from where it came.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
I like that. With confidence and conviction. Nick Alley, number 1. Okay. Blank is the key to brilliance. Fill it in and tell me who said it.
Simplicity by Bruce Lee.
Simplicity by Bruce Lee. I thought that was a shoe-in for you, but it's so powerful. Now, when I see the word simplicity, okay, here are some words for me that kind of come to mind and came to mind as I read that. One, and a lot of them have a rhythmic quality, a rhyming quality to the word simplicity. One is the word discipline, one is the word consistency, and one is the word difficult. I think sometimes people mistake simplicity for something that is easy.
Right.
Sort of speak to that a little bit, if you would. How much does discipline speak to you, or consistency speak to you, or difficulty speak to you when you hear the word simplicity? What do you think of when you hear the word simplicity? In other words.
Yeah, I think that for me, and I think for the majority of people, like you said, the first word when you hear simplicity is easy, right? But that's not necessarily true. I think that there is discipline in freedom, right? So for me personally, I need structure in my life. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going every single direction at the same time and not really making any strides in any area. So yeah, simplicity is something like, to me, I think that there's no reason to overcomplicate things, right? Stick to the basic principles that work and do them very well. You know, I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee. Another one of his famous quotes is, "I fear not the man who practice 1,000 kicks, but the man who practice one kick 1,000 times." Mm-hmm. So to me, that is simplicity, right? It's about sticking to the tried and true and doing them efficiently and effectively and with confidence and conviction.
Discipline.
Exactly. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That just transpires into every other area. You know, yeah, like I said, discipline, you need to have discipline, you need to have structure. And in that, especially for me, I can finally feel like at ease, you know, because I tend to just go into a hole if I don't have that structure. You know, I feel like I'm like I'm not progressing. So then I'm like, all right, well, if I'm not progressing, then what the hell am I doing with myself?
Right. Yeah, I just think that we or not we as people, or at times, I should say from personal experience, see the word simplicity and we think it just happened overnight. Mm-hmm. I think there's a process to get to simplicity that can be difficult. If we look up at the ceiling right now in the room that we're in, we see a light bulb. Okay, made by a man, invented, I should say, but by a man that it took him 1,000, 2,000 times to perfect.
Right.
So history has told us that simplicity, it's a process to get there.
Absolutely.
And that, it can be difficult. But the structure that you provide for yourself is, I'm sure, a product of years and years and years of trial and error.
Yeah, most certainly, especially with, you know, the diet and the training and really with anything in life, you know, your business, your relationships, you know, I mean, as being married, you know, I know that there are certain things that I don't say anymore because I'm like, all right, this is not going to end well.
I was telling a quote to a colleague. We were going over some of our favorite quotes. But I think from what you just said, quote comes to mind, drawing on my power of language, I said nothing.
Yes, we have one mouth and two ears for a reason.
For a reason. Yeah. Again, simple quotes that can sometimes difficult to employ at times in relationships, and of course in our training as well. Nick, you are 1 for 1 in what, which, and where. Let's see if we can't keep the streak alive.
Right. I'm off to a good start.
You certainly are. Quote number 2: we have freedom of speech, but we have to watch what we say.
I have
kind of goes off of what you just said with relationship with your wife.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea who said that, actually.
We have freedom of speech, but you have to watch what you say. Someone I think that you know of, it's a totally different realm than Mr. Bruce Lee, but I'll say it one more time so everybody can hear it. We have freedom of speech, but you have to watch what you say, for there are consequences sometimes. ...
Yeah, whoever said it is a very brilliant man. I don't know who it is, though.
I think you would think that. That is Mr. Tracy Morgan.
Ah, Tracy Morgan. All right, my man.
Your man. What has attracted you to him throughout the years?
You know what? I've always known of him, but just recently we started watching this show, The Last OG, and it is hysterical. So for those who've never seen the show, I'm not going to give away too much, but he was a drug dealer in the past. He gets arrested, goes away to prison for 15 years, gets out and goes back to his old neighborhood in Brooklyn where he's from. And as soon as he steps off the bus, he's looking around and he sees, a whole bunch of hipsters and white girls walking around. And he's like, what the fuck happened to Brooklyn? And I just love that, being from Brooklyn myself. And the show is just hysterical. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. I think they just started season 2. And it's just laugh out loud funny. I love it.
Is it Netflix? Is it on Netflix?
I watched it on Netflix. It's actually a TBS show. So I was stunned to see that there's a TBS show. Because I'm like, how the fuck are they saying what they're saying on TBS, right? But I guess there's a edited version and then there's the uncut episodes. So everything on Netflix is uncut. And then on TBS, I guess you can watch it either uncut or the edited version. But yeah, it's so funny, man. Definitely a must-see.
The Last OG, Tracy Morgan. Man, this is... and then I guess off of this, I'm reading my notes here. We'll go into dialogue and back into your fitness career. How important is dialogue with your clients when you're training them?
So I would say of the utmost importance, because you have to, first of all, you have to be able to communicate effectively, right? I need to be able to communicate to my clients what it is that we are working on, right? Like if I say, okay, take this weight and do a squat, some people don't really know what that means, right? Or, they don't know how to do it properly. So I need to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently, and my clients need to be able to communicate to me, what's going on physically for them, and, today my knee's bothering me, my elbow. So, I need to be aware of these things so we can, work out properly and work towards fixing these issues that are going on, and just loosening up everything. And, personal training too, it's a very, you form a very close bond and close-knit relationship with your clients. You're seeing these people a couple times a week for, about an hour every time. And, they really find that they can confide in you. I am a lot of times more of a therapist than a personal trainer.
Sure thing.
So people, you have to create a space where people can feel safe and comfortable. And, this is their time to just like vent and let it all out. Whenever I have clients that come into me and they're like, I'm so pissed off, this and this is going on. I'm like, all right, good. Let's take it out on the weights.
Right.
Let's use this aggression in a positive way. So it's a great way to, just get out your frustration and get out that stress. It's a necessary outlet for people,
It definitely is, and I don't think I really realized that. And maybe, growing up when I was training in high school, I don't think I realized how much my trainer played my psychologist until, I came here and I've seen you train tons of clients and my brother trained tons of clients, and not to say that I'm eavesdropping on the conversation, but I kind of am. And I walk out thinking sometimes like, yeah, Billy and Nick they really are psychologists in a lot of ways, because oftentimes clients come to you and they talk about stuff that has really nothing to do with their routine, but it's essential to know what's going on with them so you can get the most out of them in that session. And I think a better question would have been not necessarily dialogue, but communication with your clients.
Yes, absolutely.
From the time they enter the space here, the time they start their workout, how can you get the most out of them? And I think, again, like you said, that personal relationship is so important.
Absolutely.
Letting them know that you care. Okay. So, all right, 1 for 2. 1 for 2. Thank you, Tracy Morgan, for spawning such a deep conversation through that. And we'll go third quote goes like this: positive thoughts might not always work, but negative thoughts will kill you.
I don't know that one either. I'm failing miserably at this.
Not that you're not failing. I know that you're an avid reader, and I thought maybe you might have come across that. But it got it from the book Mind Gym. Mind Gym, and it was written, I think, in the year 2008. And I didn't write down the author here, but I've read it, and that's one of the many things that I've taken from that book. And part of that line is in a poem in the book that I had published a couple of years back. But again, positive thoughts might not always work, but negative thoughts will kill you. I guess, if I ask you, are you more into positive thinking or positive self-talk as a personal trainer?
That's a very good question. I would say that you definitely need to do both. I tend to just do positive thinking, and you know what, that doesn't always work. I think that there's always been affirmations, right? Like that's not something that's new, but I think that there's a lot of power to affirmations and just reassuring yourself, that you are capable, you are good enough, so I think that you definitely need that self-talk. And talking with you right now, this is something I'm going to implement in my daily routine a little bit more going forwards. But it's of the utmost importance. I feel like we all struggle from time to time with different issues, and sometimes we feel like, man, like, am I good enough for this? Am I able to do this? Am I able to take this on? And the answer should always be yes, if it's the right fit, if it's something you really want to do.
Realistically,
I feel like,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if there's something that you want to do, you should go ahead and do it. There's no reason why you should hold yourself back ever.
No question. But next question. So thinking about positive self-talk and positive thinking, if somebody slams a pizza in front of you right now, what are you going to tell yourself or think of to get yourself away and not ingest?
I'm just going to devour.
What would you recommend?
Yeah, so I recommend what I would do when I recommended different things, right? What I recommend is everybody have a system. I'm all about systemizing your life, right? So for me, a good system that works excellent is I will eat clean 80% of the time, right? 90% of the time. So if you break it down, if you have an average of 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals in a week, right? So 90% of that, let's just round it up to 3 meals make up the 10% where you can have whatever you want. So if you can stick to that system where, okay, today is Wednesday while we're recording this right now, I haven't had any cheat meals yet today, so I'm going for that pizza. But that means now that I have 2 meals left, I'm going to use them wisely. So I know that this Saturday night, we have a little function we're going to, so I'm going to save another meal for that. And then Sunday, we're getting together with some family as well, so I'm saving my 3rd meal for that. So that's how I like to systemize my approach to diet. And I find that it works out very well. And, especially with my clients in the past too, they're like, oh yeah, I never thought about doing it that way, because I feel like a lot of times, we tend to develop poor views towards food, right? We develop a unhealthy relationship with food where it's like, I love pizza, but my body doesn't, it's going to make me fat. So it's like we tend to shame ourselves sometimes where it's like, I'm going to eat this pizza, but I feel like shit afterwards. But it's like, fuck it tastes so good, I'm just going to do it anyway.
But I'm definitely guilty of that.
But, you have to develop like a healthy balance with everything, and diet included to that, So nobody's ever saying, don't ever eat this ever again. Because when we tell ourselves that, we want it more so than ever. But if we tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to eat this within reason, well, that's a totally different ballgame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Simplicity is the key to brilliance.
Exactly.
I think if you're listening, I think you completely understood that. It's simple. You're breaking down every week into 21 meals, and 18 of them need to be top notch, and then 3 you can quote unquote let it eat.
That's right.
Let it eat. Although you're 1 out of 3, I think in all the episodes that I've had so far, I think we got the most out of that segment in recent memory in terms of quality discussion, not just the quote itself. But again, that quote was, positive thoughts might not always work, but negative thoughts will kill you. Okay. So we referenced before books. You're an avid reader. Could you give our listeners maybe 3 books that you'd recommend that we would read in the near future?
Absolutely. So I'm currently rereading How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think that is a must-read for everybody, whether you want to improve your business, your relationships, whatever, because it talks about the golden rule, right, which is, do unto others as you would want done to you. I feel like so many people go through life just talking down to other people or, letting ego get the best of them. And, the bottom line is, when it comes to business, people, and even outside of business, you want to interact with people that you like, right? So if you're doing business with somebody that you absolutely can't fucking stand, you're gonna not want to do it at all. Every time you gotta talk to this person, like, shit, I got a call with this guy, or man. But if you're nice to people, then it's like it changes everything, So that book is a must read for everybody if you haven't read it. I like to read it, twice a year, just to really ingrain it into my brain.
And who's the author?
That is a good question. I actually have it right there.
Okay, he's going to reach over.
I'm going to reach over here.
He's got a bunch of papers here I didn't see. Reaching over the desk, pulls out a book. Okay.
All right, Dale Carnegie. I should have known that.
Dale Carnegie, and the book again is?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Okay. Yeah, people do business with others that they know, like, and trust.
Right, exactly. Right? At the end of the day, it's like we earn money from other people. Mm-hmm. Right, so be nice to other people, and they'll give you money.
Because we all collect money.
Exactly.
We all collect money. Okay. Any other books?
Let's see. How to Win Friends, Influence People. So I think another excellent business book is The Education of Millionaires. That was actually one of the first books that I've ever read outside of school voluntarily. Right. I had heard about it from a fitness, call him a guru, so to speak. And he had said, you have to read this book. You have to read, period. Otherwise, you're a dumb shit. And that really resonated with me because I was always a horrible student. I did just enough just to get by all throughout my life. And, once I read that book, it just changed the game for me. It really opened up my mind to enjoying learning. I always associated learning with I got to sit in this classroom and listen to this teacher talk my ear off for 8 hours a day. Whereas with reading books, it's like you get to read what you actually want to read and what interests you. So that book really just opened up everything to me. It's all about millionaire and billionaires who dropped out of school or never went to school and made a fortune by just helping people. Right, that's what it's all about. So that book is another one that's a must-read, and I'm trying to think if there's another one. There's so many books that I've read throughout the years.
What's the name of that book again? The title?
How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I forget the author's name. I can send it over to you if you like.
We'll put it in the link in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. And another great book too that I read a while ago is called The Obstacle is the Way.
Oh yes,
you read that?
Yes, Matt Holliday. Yes,
exactly. Yes. That was excellent. At the time. Reading that book, I really didn't have too many obstacles or issues that I was facing at the time. Life was very easy and going well. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I wish I had some shit going on that I could just punch
inspires
it in the face.
Me up. Yeah, right. Talks about Abraham Lincoln and it goes through stories in history, right?
Exactly, all about stoicism and it's great read. Great read.
Clear mind, steady hands.
Exactly.
I think comes to mind is what will people think? What will people see when they open you up? Air, iron, or bullshit? That way, I have a coaching and teaching notes, and that's part of what's in there. And there are probably about 38 bullet points from that book. I got it on Audible just this past winter, and would go out for walks and 7:30, 8 o'clock at night in the middle of January. Why? So I could listen to this book for about 10 or 12 minutes.
Nice.
It's a thing of beauty. The Obstacle is the Way, Matt Holliday. Unreal. Excellent suggestions here. We're gonna wrap it up with this question. Let's wrap it up this way. We know all heroes don't wear a cape. If you had the opportunity to take a car ride with one of the following two people, who would it be and why? Would it be Bruce Lee or would it be Tracy Morgan?
Oh man, that is a very tough decision. I feel like I could learn a lot about life in general with Bruce Lee. But Tracy Morgan, we would just have a hell of a time. So I'm going with Tracy Morgan, man.
Tracy Morgan. Would you survive the car ride?
That's a different story.
He might force you to do something or tell jokes. Who the heck knows? And same with Bruce Lee. You never know. He could have you doing some high energy moves during the car ride that you didn't sign up for. But I think in either way, I think you'd learn a lot about people from both of them.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
obviously they are excellent communicators in both in different and their own ways.
Yeah, right.
That we found over time. So to wrap it up. I got this from another podcast I've been listening to. Empty your pockets. I don't mean that literally, but if you want to, as I collect money. But figuratively speaking, do you have any more advice for our listeners about life, fitness, anything in general?
Yeah, just continue to evolve and grow in every single way. I would say, just set realistic, attainable, small goals in the three most important areas of your life, which are your health and fitness, your relationships, and your business. And if you continue to hit those small, attainable goals, they will snowball into very big results. So that's my advice.
That's audio gold right there. That is audio gold. Nick, this has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Fox. Appreciate being here.
You betcha. That will wrap up episode 43 of the What's Your Inspiration podcast. Nick and I will talk to you all later. Take good care.
You have been listening to the What's Your Inspiration podcast with Fox Beyer. Because impact on each other is the greatest currency you could ever have.